Hello? I hope stream is working this time. It says my stream health is excellent. What was I even talking about? Okay, let's just hope and pray that this works this time. Okay. Anyway. Hello? Hi? Is everyone back yet? Hello? Hello. Okay. I hope it says the stream is healthy, so I'm hoping it is. Okay, hello, Nose, hello, Kyoya, hello, Techno, hello, Sir Bird, hello, Cody, and yep, okay. Hi everyone. I am hoping this works this time. I don't know what happened. I've never really had that many issues. And hello, Chris. I've never really had that many issues before with my internet, because for a while I actually was like, I don't want to stream because I feel like my internet's gonna be so bad, and that it's gonna like lag out hard. And then I streamed a couple times now. I've had like probably 10, I think this might be like my 10th or something stream, and so yeah, this should be okay, I hope. Anyway, it's telling me it's fine. Okay, let's just hope that part 2 is okay. But yeah, so as I was explaining about the whole like gifted and talented thing, is that I don't want to put too much pressure on them. I don't want to put too much pressure on them to I think a lot of kids that are gifted and talented, you know, they get put in this program and they feel really like proud of themselves and stuff while they're in elementary school. And you know, they grow up, they grow, I think, you know, they grow up, they go to middle school and they go to high school, and you know, maybe they don't feel as gifted and talented as they thought they were in elementary school, and I feel like that really affects them, right? And so it is giving them higher level things and like asking them to, you know, doing like I'm like teaching a lot of math, and so there's like a lot of reasoning that they have to do, like actual reasoning, because sometimes kids will, you know, they will think, you know, they've done something so right, and it's good that they do, but if they can't explain it, or like can't, you know, they don't understand actually why they got it correct, then that's something that like enrichment will help with, is helping with their reasoning skills, because it's important to explain like how they got there and that they understand like what kind of math they were using to get there. But yeah, no, I'm it's like a lot of these kids, they are like in these program, in like the program that I'm running, essentially it's like they're very, very clever. You know, obviously it's like I've been giving them, because I work with a 3rd grade group, you know, and I've been teaching them these like higher level, I think, I guess math topics, right? Because in 3rd grade, really, they're starting to learn about multiplication, and they're learning about division, and this is when like they're starting to really like hone in on their I guess these like basic facts, right, that they're going to need to build on. And so it's like really fun and exciting to see them kind of explore these like topics like probability, and doing things like, oh gosh, why am I'm like blanking on what it is, but I think I'm saying probability because that's the most recent thing we've been doing. So in this, because I have a lot more freedom, I think, when it comes to typical teachers, because I am, you know, coming up with this program on my own. I'm not using a book, or, you know, that is part of the curriculum, since this is enrichment, right? So it's more on me to create these like lesson plans and to come up with activities and stuff that help to enrich these students and further build on new topics and have them really think about like why these things like work in this way. If any of you like watched PBS Kids, like I have been showing them some clips from Cyber Chase recently, which is like a math cartoon program. And so I have, been using that in part. Like I'll show them like a little bit, right? Because the kids are always, they have a problem that they need to solve, right? And so I'll like show them the scenario. And in this one, it was like because it was probability, they were watching Our Fair City. And so in this situation, right, there's an unfair game at this like carnival thing. And basically the question, right, that I posed to these kids after they watched it, basically it was like, so there are, I don't know, these little weird things called zergons, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's only 4 of them, numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And you put them in a hat and you pick 2 out. If you multiply them, right, and they're odd, you win. But if you multiply them and they're even, you lose, and you go into a dunk tank. And so I'll like let them watch it and then like pause, and then I will ask them like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, why, like, is this game fair or is it not fair, right? Like, what are the possible outcomes when you multiply all these numbers together? And so that's like, right, and so like they get like very excited because they're like, oh, that's not fair at all, like they're gonna get tricked and they're gonna get dunked in the tank. And so it's really fun because they're very involved in it. And this, showing them this then further went in, because we're doing an experiment now, and we're doing the age-old water bottle flipping. And instead of mathematical probability, they're doing experimental probability instead, so they can kind of like see it on their own. Because I first presented them with the whole like, how many times will a coin land on either heads or tails. It's approximately 50-50, and they tested that out for themselves, and they got close to it, not quite, like because obviously the more amount of trials you do, then the closer you'll get to it. But typically when you're doing the math, right, it is 50-50 because it's either gonna land on heads or tails. And so the kids are basically, they have like 4 water bottles or whatever, and they're all different sizes and brands and stuff like that, and they're taking down the note, how much water is in it, and then they're gonna get to do their own trials and flip and see like, how often like water bottle A is doing compared to water bottle B, like how successful is each water bottle. And I think they're having a lot of fun with that, and I think it's really fun for me too, like being able to plan this kind of stuff. Because I originally went into education as a history major. I wanted to teach high school history, but I don't think the high school environment was for me necessarily. I think I work much better with the littles. And so, but I loved doing high school history. I interned and did all that, and I loved high school history because it was, very flexible. Obviously there is, a curriculum and standards that you need to stick to, but I think the lesson planning, which, is something that I feel like needs to be enjoyable, that's just something that I really liked, is creating the slides and the activities and the worksheets for these kids to do. And I love that flexibility about it. And so I'm very grateful for my job currently, and for the flexibility that it gives me compared to typical classroom teachers. And yeah, it's really fun. I love talking about my job and education and all that. Like, it's just, it's one of the parts of me that it's such a big part of my life. And so, were there any kids that have interesting interests or plans for the future? A lot of them want to be YouTubers. A whole lot of them want to be YouTubers. That is like one of the most, like, it's either like a doctor. I have a couple of kids that are like, oh, they want to be doctors. They want to be, some want to be teachers, and then they want to be YouTubers or streamers or something like that. And then there's also, the kids that are athletes. There's one kid, he's in the 2nd grade, and he is just about as tall as I He's a big kid. He's huge. And he's gonna, you know, his dreams are to become a football player. So he's constantly wearing like football gear, I guess, question mark. I don't know. I'm not into football. But there's a lot of kids that are, you know, into football, and like these parents like really like invest in their kids' dreams very early. Like, you know, these classes and whatever are very expensive, guys. Like one of the students I work with very closely, he I mean, it's tough though when these kids are into sports, because obviously it's like these club sports means that like they're constantly taking off from school to go and like follow their dreams and stuff like that. It's good, but they're also missing a lot of like content, right? And so it's like there's this one kid that's missed a couple of days of school now because he has like hockey tournaments going on. And so it's like, you know what, go you, but also we're gonna take the time out of my day to like support you a little bit more in fractions and stuff like that. Yeah, so a lot of them want to be YouTubers or streamers, but I guess that's, you know, if that's what they're watching, then it makes a lot of sense that that is what they want to do. Yeah, that's just a big old that's a big old part of you know, I think growing up in this age, I don't like, as kids when we were little, I guess if you're an adult in the chat, question mark, right? It's like when we were kids, like what did we want to be exactly? At some point in life, I wanted to be like a pharmacist. I wanted to be a pharmacist, and then I wanted to be a neurologist, and then I took high school chemistry, and I wasn't great at it, and so those kind of threw my dreams into the gutter. And so then I was kind of like lost. I think it's crazy though that like obviously like you're in high school and you're like learning all this stuff, and immediately when you turn like 18 or whatever, you have to choose what you're doing for the rest of your life. I mean, some of the, you know, a lot of these kids already know like, I want to go to like this college and that college. I want to go to Harvard and Yale and NYU and Boston U, and I don't know. I'm saying Boston U because that's where a bunch of hockey people come from. But you know, it's like I want to go to Berkeley. I don't know. It's they really like focus immediately on what college they want to go to, and they're in elementary school, and it's weird. I don't know. Like I never even thought about college when I was like a little girl, so it's like strange that they're already in this like mindset. I mean, you know, a lot of education now, at least for a while, it focused on like college readiness. Like they wanted you to be I guess ready for college because that's where they feel like everyone should go. But in my opinion, right, it's like we want these kids to grow up like well-rounded. You know, they have a good foundation in the basics, right? Learning how to read and write, and obviously doing math, right? You should know how to do basic math at least. Like you don't have to know how to do like calculus. Like I don't really remember ever needing to use calculus, like actually. And so but I think it's more important to make sure that kids have a strong foundation, because I think, you know, a lot of kids can be really spread out thin, I think, especially with all these like clubs and sports and after school activities, and you know, wanting to build up that resume for college. But it's like, dude, you're like 5. You're 5. The only thing you should be worrying about is like playing tag and like trading Pokemon cards or something, you know? And so I feel like it's a missed opportunity for like us as a country, not having more like trade schools and stuff like that. There's only a couple that I can think of that are around me, and it's like, you know, it's something I think that's important to focus on, because that it's just kids are kind of booted off into college and they don't know what they want to do, and a lot of them do like sociology or like psychology because they don't really know what to do and they feel like it's easy enough. And you know, not everybody's gonna go to college. It's not meant for everyone has different skill sets, you know, everyone is shaped by their environment and stuff like that. And if you feel like you want to go to like higher education, then do so, right? If you can and you feel like you should, and that your dream job is through that, I guess, path, right? Let's see. When I was their age, I had an interest in trains, you could probably tell, and wanted to work on trains in my future. Oh, okay. You know, when I was in England, I almost went to this like train museum, I think maybe in York, and we didn't get to go, but you know, maybe if I ever go back, I would love to go. I'm not personally interested in trains. I like aviation a lot. It's like one of my hyperfixations is aviation. Currently, my hyperfixations are aviation and hockey. So, I mean, aviation, that's been a hyperfixation for a while. That's not a fad. But see, my elementary class decided on two things. It was either a pizza delivery guy or an astronaut. I don't hear kids wanting to be astronauts anymore. I don't hear that at all, which is very interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's not something I hear about. I've heard kids be like, I want to be a Google analyst. That's something I've heard before, and I was like, that's a strange one. What career day is coming up, actually, so that'll be very interesting because all their parents come in and they will talk about their different careers and stuff, and they're very, very interesting. Yeah, my community that I work in is extremely diverse. There are just, I don't know, so the people there are crazy. I don't know. They're doing a lot. Let's see. The only one that left after 3rd grade was a race car driver. Oh wow. Let's see. The environment is also a factor. My mother didn't restrict us from reading YA or mild adult novels. Another... Oh. Wait. Does that mean you're a member? Oh! Yes, you are! Okay, wait, sorry. Welcome, Seven Tail Studio. Thank you for being a follower of Morena. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you. How come it literally says member on the top? Oh my god. Okay. Thank you so much for following. I really appreciate it. Yay, thanks. Yeah, I don't have too much content on there yet. I will do. I've been really busy, sorry. But there's 2 videos on there that you can watch now. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it, Seven Tail Studio. Where was I? Oh, another example of having National Geographic magazines and a TV Discovery Channel curfew. Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, environment makes up a lot of us, right? And that's something that we focus on a lot, especially when we are learning to become educators, is that, you know, we need to understand how these students are growing up. And I think a focus that, you know, should also be included is like, you know, kids need to understand, like, we need to understand like what kind of an age that kids are growing up in. Like, you know, they are a product of like their home and their community, but also they're growing up in, you know, whatever world they're growing up, right? And so it's like, you know, I grew up in like the very early late 2000s, and you know, it was things changed obviously after a certain year, and so things had become a lot more tense and whatever, and technology also changes kids a lot, right? I think I see something that I know. I'm not talking about advice at all. No, but I'll get to some advice, I guess, at some point. I will have advice. But no, like I think definitely it's like I've lost my train of thought. It's gone now. No. Okay. What was I even talking about? Oh no, technology. What I've noticed is that I think kids don't have as much freedom in a sense to explore. And that's like in terms of their own education and their own understanding of technology. Like a lot of kids feel like if they touch like a wrong button on the computer, their computer is gonna explode and they won't be able to do like whatever they do. They're very scared of like touching buttons on their like Chromebooks and stuff, you know? And it's interesting. It's like it's really, I don't know. It's strange. Another thing I've noticed, and I talked about this with one of my coworkers, is that kids now aren't really being taught these basic skills in school. When I was a child, I remember we had presentation, like assemblies going on where they taught us about stove safety and making sure that when something is cooking, we don't go up to it, we don't touch the stove, we don't touch the oven, because it can be very hot. And that's just not something that's being taught to children anymore, at least not in school. We don't have like a dentist or a dental group coming in anymore, to teach kids how to like properly floss and to brush their teeth. And Lord know how many children I see now with like cavities, and like they have to get like new teeth, like crowns and stuff like that. It's interesting. It's just not being taught anymore. Obviously they're taught about like safety. You know what I know they don't is that like, because obviously we're like given things that we need to teach. We only have so much time in the day to teach certain things, right? And we're more so focused on academic skills rather than general life skills, which I think is very strange. And I wonder if it's kind of like more of a focus on parents, like we need to depend on parents to do this, right? But like I feel like in this day and age where people are at work more than ever trying to make a living, I feel like that's really hard, right? Like parents aren't at home as much. I've gotten kids coming up to me being like, I'm really sad, like I don't get to see my dad as often because he's always away on business trips and I really miss him. And so a lot of these times, like, these parents aren't even there, right, to be with their kids sometimes. And obviously that's not for everyone, but I feel like it wouldn't be such a bad thing if we take some time out of our schedules to have these kids learn these life skills, right? Let's see, the National Railway Museum in York is really good. Haven't been there myself. Yeah, I heard it was really good, so maybe the next time I get to go, then I will go. But yeah, I've been watching your channel for a while now, and I figured I should finally join. Oh, thank you so much, Till Studies. I really appreciate that. That's so cool. Let's see, not being taught basic skills, especially in elementary school, is terrifying, actually. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing that I see a lot now. I mean, luckily enough, we had like a parent come in, because sometimes we have these people called like secret readers, which are the parents. They get to come in and they can read to the class that they have, right? The class where their child is in. And so like these secret readers will come in, and luckily we actually managed to have like one of the parents is a dentist, and so he came in and actually talked to the kids and like gave out these like little pamphlets and stuff. And I thought that was really good, but obviously not every student gets to have that experience, right? Like not every kid is gonna have like a dad or a mom dentist in like the class. And so it was nice that they came in, but definitely it's strange, like kids aren't being taught this. And I've also talked about this before about like fire safety and stuff like that, but stop, drop, and roll isn't a thing anymore. And isn't that weird? Like I feel like as a child I was taught constantly, like if you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll. Obviously, right, we do not want any people on fire, but if it were to happen it's like they don't really know what to do they? Like it's just not a thing anymore. Another thing I've noticed also is a lack of I guess manners. Like is that not weird? I remember this Halloween a lot of kids stopped saying they stopped saying like thank you after you give them a little treat for Halloween, and it's weird. Or like kids don't, and I guess this might be because like from a religious standpoint you don't want to say it, but I guess I just like got so used to saying bless you after people sneezed. Let's see, hello Yako Kubro, love your content raw. Oh, thank you so much, I really appreciate you watching. Yeah, kids that aren't taught how to stop, drop, and roll. Isn't that strange? Let's see, Japes Juice, oh, they have a good day, you are eternally loved. Oh, thank you so much, that's so very kind of you to say. Yeah, it's definitely, it's very weird it's kids aren't being taught manners as much. They're not they're not I don't know, I feel like kids are having a harder time being kind. I mean, kids are just, they are selfish. They really only think about themselves most of the time. You have a couple of kids who have empathy at that point, but like, they're not necessarily there yet. But the kids that do, that, that's very, it's nice to have those kids. But a lot of kids are just generally selfish, right? They're not going to be thinking about others, and that's okay. But you should be teaching those like foundations of like how to say thank you and how to I don't not bless you, but something, I guess. It's weird. I don't know. Let's see. I might not know because I'm European, but what does drop, stop, and roll mean? From Gabriel. So basically, let's say you're on fire, right? You want to get on the ground and basically roll around until like the fire is put out, right? If like there's not like a fire extinguisher or something like that. So that other Jake, morning, glad to see the second time was the charm today. Yes, thank you. The stream is healthy, let's go. Yeah, so that's what stop, drop, and roll means, but it's not really being taught anymore. Obviously, kids during a fire drill are taught to evacuate in through certain routes and whatnot. But honestly, one of my concerns, right, is that because I also have to do lunch duty, it's a part of my job, and I hate lunch duty. I'll tell you right now, lunch duty I think is one of the worst things. Recess is fine. Sometimes you have to stop kids from like fighting each other, but lunch duty is probably one of the worst things I ever have to do. It's like my least favorite part of the day. But essentially, like, it's rough because these kids are in an unstructured time. Kids really need structure, is something that I've noticed. Not noticed, you're taught that. Kids need structure. They need a schedule. They need something to follow, right? And so it's like unstructured time for them, so they get very like rowdy and stuff like that, and they can get like really mean and disrespectful and whatnot, because while you're there during lunch duty they don't respect you as much. Like I had a kid the other day, and I I'll oh, okay. I hope work goes well, and thank you for popping by and becoming a member, Seven Tails. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Let's see. I know that some kids nowadays can't even tell the time on an analog clock. That is true. I actually had a student, one of my kiddos, he came up to me and he asked me what time it was, and I said, just look at the clock. And he was like, but I don't know how to read a clock. And this kid is in the 4th grade. They start learning how to read a clock in the 2nd grade. And so it's interesting that, they are so dependent on on a digital clock that they lose that skill, right? Like they're not practicing it. And that's, one of the things that when you're learning anything new, here's some advice, I suppose. Right, when you're learning anything new, you need to practice it. Like with learning a foreign language, right? Like one of the things that you need to do in order to learn a foreign language is to practice it consistently. And so kids just don't, they're not practicing it. They're always, looking for that digital clock on their computer screen or their watch or on whatever they have. And so kids aren't really, they don't have to look at a clock, and like, because I had to tell him, like, you skip count the numbers, right? You count by 5s for each of, like, for the minutes, and then he got that, he understood. But then it was kind of like, oh, but like, how do I tell in between, like, like if the minute the minute is between like 25 and 30, how do I tell? And it's like, well, there's little ticks so you can read what minute it is. So yeah, it's strange. It's a strange environment to be in, and to realize, like, man, I feel like these kids are like falling behind in certain ways because they are so dependent on technology, but they're also so afraid of technology at the same time, I suppose. Yeah, it's weird that kids can't really read clocks anymore. And you know, I'm gonna be working with a couple of fourth graders, I think him and then another one, to work on their, you know, skills, because reading a clock, you know, isn't just like, oh, you know, reading the clock is the skill on its own. It's also skip counting, right? Understanding how to count by 5. And like some kids struggle with that, right? Clocks with normal numbers, they don't know Roman numerals. They don't know what Roman numerals are. Just normal numbers, they just don't know how to read it. They'll know how to read the hour. They'll know how to read what hour it is, but they won't know how to read what minute it is. And so they struggle on that a lot. One of the classes that I you know, worked on at first was how to read a clock. They were third graders and they needed refreshers, because they just didn't know, right? And they had like quizzes and stuff on it, and they were like having a tough time. I think it's especially hard once it like the minute, you know, goes past a certain time, like I don't know, like around 45, and then it looks like it would be the other hour, because, you know, obviously the hour clock like moves. And so yeah, kids are having a hard time with it. Kids are having a really hard time with it. Yeah, so that's something. Especially since we type everything now. Yeah, but the thing is, I think also kids, you know, because all these kids have their individual Chromebooks, and I think this is something also, you know, obviously before then, right? Like even while I was in high school, we had like a Chromebook cart in the classroom or something like that. But like because of like COVID and all that, you know, kids now have their own individual Chromebook that they will work on, you know, and they'll have for like the whole year or whatnot. And like, you know, but these kids aren't being taught like typing skill either. They don't have Media Lab anymore. Media Lab is kind of smushed into like library time. Like, you know, kids will learn about the skills there, I guess, but it's not quite like going into a classroom and then, you know, being forced onto like an old computer with like a big monitor thing and having to learn how to like type on there. Yeah, so let's see. Hi Dia, did I say hi? Hello. How many hours does a human sustain life? I don't know. How many hours of what? Let's see. Wait, kids get their own Chromebooks now? Yeah, they do. A lot of kids had to get their own Chromebooks while, you know, COVID was happening, because school had turned virtual. At this point in time, I wasn't teaching in elementary school. I was doing high school. I had internship in high school, in a high school at that point. And so a lot of these kids, like they all got Chromebooks. Like they would get Chromebooks delivered to them. And I feel like that was like a very lucky thing that they, you know, or they would have to pick up Chromebooks at a specific spot, right? And they would set up, you know, like Wi-Fi, like mobile Wi-Fi, like hotspots and stuff, so these kids could be part of virtual school. And, you know, I do think, oh, good night, Blondie. I hope you sleep well. And thank you for joining me. Yeah, so, you know, I do think that COVID and virtual learning really did a dent. I feel like it really did a dent into the education system, which is tough. I think I'm gonna have to like change this stream to like talking about the state of education. I think I'm gonna have to change the stream to that, maybe. That might be something I have to do. But yeah, you know, it's a toughie. Let's see. Yeah, I only remembered learning to type in kindergarten and then suddenly stopped soon after. Yeah, like it's back then. I remember we had our own computer lab. We had a computer lab up until high school. Once we got into high school, we had our own like you know, Chromebooks and stuff. well, not our own, they had the cart, right? And so we stopped using the computer labs. We did have computers in the library, but it wasn't used as very often. And so we had lab a couple of times, like sometimes for English class in I don't know, the 9th grade or something. 10th grade. In the 10th grade, we would have to go into a room. We didn't get Chromebooks until like maybe 11th or 12th. Maybe 12th? Maybe? I think it was very new. It was very new at the time. And so yeah, like kids would have to go into this computer lab and type this all up, and we'd have like 30 minutes or so to just like type away the entire time. But it's very different. They have their own programs now, but it's kind of like self-paced, and so there's not really any directions given to them. Really, there's not any directions for it, as in like direction from the teacher. There's no direction from the teacher. They kind of just have to follow the program. But like, kids aren't gonna necessarily listen, right? They're gonna just put their fingers wherever they want to and just type with one finger instead of like multiple, like with the 2, right, or 3, however many fingers you use to type. They'll only use like one finger at a time to type because no one's watching them, right? Like the computer's not gonna know necessarily that you're only typing with one finger. Although they will be like, why are you so slow? Let's see. The introduction and normality of AI in modern society is doing more harm than good, especially in the educational system, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely, Hayden. I think kids obviously know what like ChatGPT is at this point in time, and AI became such a thing, especially like generative AI or whatever, for like art or like pictures or whatever, because they liked Italian brain rot, like AI Italian brain rot, whatever that was. I didn't understand what that was. Okay, have a good day, Leo. I hope work goes well. Thank you for stopping by in the stream. Let's see. Yeah, so kids know about it from that. Thankfully in elementary school they don't really know how to use AI yet, but I think definitely for like middle school and high school now. Sorry, I actually got a cut on my finger and it gave me a cut and a blood blister. So that part of my finger is very sore. I was trying to fix something for a kid and my finger got like pinched or something between like these two parts of whatever, and so my finger got hurt. But I think definitely in high school and middle school, once they start having to actually like write these essays and paragraphs and all that, they're like looking to ChatGPT or whatever it is, I don't even know, right, to answer it for them or to summarize it for them. Kids aren't really wanting to read anymore. Like they're not, and like that's something important too, is like they're not comprehending what's actually going on in the text. They're not looking beyond. They're not looking in between the lines of whatever text they are reading. And obviously an important part of getting kids to read is that they need to be engaged and excited with the content, but obviously not everything you read is going to be exciting and cool and whatever, and you have to try your best to make it exciting for them. But yeah, I think definitely AI is not great for students in college too. I know in college they a lot of I remember seeing a video of like this dude like graduating or something, and then he showed that he graduated and all his assignments were through AI. I think at times that AI summaries can be okay, right? Like I think they do get a general grasp, but you can't depend on that for whatever you're actually doing. But yeah, definitely like the whole art AI like thing that's going on is not good. I just don't, yeah. So let's see, depending on my mood, I'd watch it. I don't have human kids, so it's all academic to me. Okay. Let's see, do children learn to swim in school? No, they do not. That's kind of like your own separate thing, right? That's a very like dependent on your parents thing. They might take you to classes, you know, or you might go to a summer camp where they teach you how to swim, that kind of thing. But definitely parents, that's on the parents, not us. Can you imagine? There's so much I have to do in my day already, and then they're like, hey, bust out a swimsuit and teach this child to swim and hope they don't drown, okay? I think, yeah, no, I would not, you know, there's so much I have to do. It's like, you are like, you know, you're an educator, but you're also like emotional support, and you're a janitor, and you're just all these different things in these kids' lives. I would not also want to be your swim coach. Let's see. As someone into tech, AI can be good. It's just in the wrong hands and being used in the wrong ways. Specifically, generative AI can burn. I mean, you know, AI has been used for a long while, right? AI has its like purposes, right? There's like cases of, you know, AI figuring things out for like the health industry and whatever. But I do definitely think that, you know, AI in terms of like, I guess like dumbing us down is not great. Let's see. Okay, no, I already read that. How are their attention spans now? Is it that bad? It is. It's not great. It's not great. I would say that definitely the attention span has gone down, but you know, I wouldn't say that it's just for kids either. I would say it's also for adults. I mean, I think for myself, I mean, like, again, I've talked about this before, how like I'm not diagnosed with like ADHD or anything, but I definitely have like, and I don't want to get diagnosed because it's expensive. So I'm not going to, but I think I definitely have you know, a certain signs of it, and you know, tendencies, and how I guess, you know, how I deal with executive functioning is very much so, I think, aligned with someone who would have ADHD. And so I would say also, you know, for myself as well, I do have a hard time focusing and paying attention to something for very long. And I think, you know, adults and teenagers are, you know, very much so scrolling on short form content now, and I'm sorry I'm putting out short form content lately. But it's, you know, I think it's affecting everyone, not just us, but also children. But a lot of them are shorts, you know, they use shorts. That's what they watch all the time. So yeah, it's definitely, I think everyone's attention span is getting worse. I think everyone's attention span is getting worse. But definitely it's hard to keep their attention most of the time. It's really hard to keep their attention. Vibe coding is also going to be is also going to cost us a great deal once senior developers pass one. What's vibe coding? I don't know what vibe coding is. Teachers do not get paid enough for real. I definitely agree. Especially in my role, I would say that I am severely underpaid. Yeah, I don't get enough money for what I do. and I'm gonna be for real about that. You know, obviously, like typical for like what I'm doing and how much work I'm doing, and teachers do so much work. You know, it's like there's so many meetings you have to go to. There are just so many dates and you know, so much paperwork you have to keep in mind, and you have to be there for these kids. But I guess, you know, you also have to make sure that you're there for yourself. Like yesterday when I talked about it, you know, the kids were being really disrespectful and awful toward me, and you know, they weren't listening. And again, I'm gonna blame it on the moon, because you know, kids are gonna be kids. There's not, you know, bad kids or good kids or whatever. You know, kids are kids. That's what they're like. And so I just have to take it as that, right? And so yesterday, I was having such a horrible time. Like I felt really overwhelmed. And when I, you know, got to take a break, I put myself in a bathroom. I put myself in a staff bathroom. I turned off the lights, and I just stood in a corner for like 2 minutes and took a bunch of deep breaths, because that's what I needed to do, to kind of calm myself down, because it was hard. I feel like if you talk to like any teacher that's if you've talked to any teacher, yeah, they've cried. They've cried because of work, right? It's overwhelming, and it's a really hard profession, especially when, you know, when you think about it. It's like you are, right, like you're creating the foundations for the future. Like these kids are the future, and you need to make sure that you're doing a good enough job for it. But there's so much to do with so little time, and so many, you know, so many people, like, you know, people can really affect you. Like but you kind of just have to do it. I mean, you know, I feel like also, like, we're all going through things, right? Like there are things that have affected us, and you know, things that are going on in our lives, and we have to kind of just walk into that building and be as nice as we can be. And sometimes we will break, and sometimes things will go wrong, and I'm gonna need to take a breather and have like that sensory deprivation, and it's okay. That's gonna happen, right? It's like with any job, jobs are hard. Working and trying to make a living is really hard. And I mean, like I've said, and I'm not even joking about it, right? It's like I'm like making slightly above poverty level because of Patreon. Because of Patreon. Like my main job, right? Like I would be in poverty if it wasn't for Patreon. Which is like a crazy thing to say. It's I do wish I had, you know, I could make more money at my like normal job, because it really does feel like you're kind of taken advantage of in the system. But it's also a hard thing, because, you know, you love these children so much, and you just, you know, even though you're like getting paid like cents, it's like worth it, right? Like I love being an educator, and I love teaching these students and being there for them, and just, you know, seeing them grow up. It is so worth it to just see these kids like grow and develop, I guess. Like so yeah. See, I worked as a part-time waiter 2 years back, and almost every parent who came in with their child would just hand them an iPad and headphones during the entire meal, and it's disheartening to see. I've definitely seen that before too. I was at a Costco at some point, and, you know, like this parent had put their kid in the cart, and they put an iPad in front of them. Didn't talk to the kid. They just got their groceries and let their kid be on the iPad. And I understand, right? Like, you don't want your child to make a ruckus, but that's what kids do. You know, children cry, children like babble, and they talk a lot and stuff like that. And grocery shopping, or, you know, eating dinner out at a restaurant or something like that, it's such an important time to bond with your child. Like, anytime, like even during my free time, like I come into work very early. I'm in the building at like 8 o'clock, like way before some other people. And like my commute's very long though, but so I'm up very early. But you know, I'm in the building at like 8 o'clock or whatever. And, you know, sometimes kids will come in into my room, and they'll just want to like hang out, or, you know, they'll be like, hey, can I get some like extra like practice with fractions or something like that. And I'm not getting paid at that time, right? Like my duty hours doesn't start yet, but I will take that time to be with you. You know, I will talk to you, I will ask you how your day is, you know, I'll take this extra time to like support them, because that's what they need, right? They need someone to talk to. And so I think it is like strange, right, that like parents, you know, will like have this iPad when they could just be having a conversation with them. But again, it's like, you know, maybe this parent is like exhausted, and all they want to do is have like a quiet like dinner and whatever. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's just something that that's very interesting to me. Let's see. Vibe coding is just using AI to write their code. It spits out code much faster, but often has many mistakes. Oh, okay. I had no idea what that was. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Let's see. Well, I find myself resisting short form content in most instances, but it is interesting to see how popular it is becoming among millennials my age. Yeah, so like, I don't use TikTok. I've never downloaded TikTok before or anything like that, but I am an avid Reels watcher, unfortunately. And I have noticed that it does, it takes away a lot of time that I could be using for other stuff. Like, I could be scrolling on Reels for like 30 minutes or whatever. But I recently in the new year, right? Because new year, new me. I've been really trying to, when I have these moments of like nothing to do, I don't want to go on my phone and like scroll anymore. I do want to try and, do something else. And so I've been making time for stretching. I've been making time for meditation and my exercise, which I've been exercising recently again. I think it's going very well. Day 4. Day 4, hopefully it keeps going. But yeah, so let's see. Oh man, it's that bad. Sometimes it gets that bad. Sometimes it's, it's good, it's cute. Like, I have, these kids like wanting to hug me and stuff like that, and they're so kind and respectful, and then some other days they just don't want to do that. So it's just, let's see, kids need to learn how to deal with their emotions too. Yeah, I think definitely this is something that I feel like needs to be a collaborative effort between teachers and parents, right? It's because, kids are in school for so long every day. Like, a good majority of their day is at school. And a lot of these kids are also, going to like clubs and whatnot. And these are the places where they are learning, right? Like, where they need to I guess learn some self-discipline and self-control and stuff like that, right? And obviously, kids are going to feel a certain way about like someone disciplining them or like telling them, hey, like, you need to stop that, no thank you, whatever, that they need to, that like there are consequences, right? But when but I think that there is starting to be a lack of respect toward teachers, since I've been telling you guys about like how difficult it's been this week. And it's not only like once, like every now and then, it is very often having having this disrespect towards you, and okay, first of all, also, I don't know what this trend is, but like kids have been like making like a moan noise, and it's very disgusting and disturbing and uncomfortable to me. And kids will do it. Like, kids will just do it as you're like walking by, and I feel like it's so, not feel like, it is disrespectful, and they'll play it off like, oh, I was just yawning, but it's like, it's not a yawn, buddy. It's not a yawn. That's weird, right? Like, and also another thing, obviously, because I work in elementary school, most of us are women, and there's like a few like male teachers and whatnot. They're not doing that toward the male teachers, by the way, okay? They're only doing it when like it's a female teacher and they think it's fine to disrespect them. And there's a lot more disrespect toward the female teachers than there is toward the male teachers. And so that's also something that is strange. But yeah, it's like, we can discipline them as much as we can. We can say like, oh, like, hey, like, don't do like, don't do this, like, that's, you can't do this in school, and the kids will be like, I don't care. And that's because they're not being disciplined at home. Also, hi Beth, sorry, I just saw that message now. I totally missed it, I think, right? Did I miss it? Anyway, hi Beth. But yeah, it's definitely, it's weird, because parents will be, it's that whole like syndrome of like, my kid would never, right? Like, my kid is an angel, they would never do that. And sometimes we'll have parents come in to lunch and they'll see just how disrespectful these kids are. Yeah, it's like, it's not like it's not a nice thing, because these parents aren't backing us up, right? And in order to, we're both raising your kids, like, we are both raising your children. And so it's kind of like, I wish that like these parents would back us up a lot more, because it's not nice to be disrespected constantly every single day. Like, it's really detrimental. Yeah, let's see. I feel like we severely underestimated the importance of cartoons and the lessons and values they taught. Yeah, I think, you know, growing up in like the 2000s and stuff, and we had a lot of shows that, you know, taught you more so about like morals and virtues and stuff like that. And I think nowadays, and it, you know, it's more, you know, entertainment sake. It's more like, oh, you know, I just want to make the kids laugh, and it's fine. But back then, people found a way to wrap lessons in with something funny. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Oasis Media Agency. I really appreciate that. Wow. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. That's really cool. Okay, wait. Let me breathe. Wow, thank you so much. That is really appreciated. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know what to say. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Diakilia Blossom, Ruba, and Jackal are all members now. Thank you. Okay. What was I even talking about? Oops, was on the wrong account. Oh, okay. Wait, who is this? I see. That donation got you flustered a little bit. I'm kind of surprised when it happens. I don't think that's changed. I remember when I first started streaming and then like I got like donations for the first time. I was like, what's going on? No, it's always I'm very thankful. Like, it's just, you know, it's very kind and very surprising, and yeah, I think this sound's gonna be going on forever. Yeah, so it's I'm very thankful. Thank you so much. What was I talking about? Can I get reminded on what I was talking about, guys? Because I've gotten lost. What was I talking about? Hello? This makes for great content, everybody. Thank you. Which I hope this content is fine. Like, I like just talking to you guys most of the time. You know, because I'm not like a gamey person, so like I don't play like FPS games or like whatever necessarily, although we might start playing Overwatch again on the server. I don't know when. I don't know. But yeah. Oh, also, I totally forgot, Krat isn't here, but I wanted to shout out Krat. I wanted to shout out Krat because he got engaged, so congratulations to Krat. I don't know if you're here or not, maybe you're not, but congrats to him and his fiance. Yay. Yeah, so let's see, the imminent decline of our education system. Yeah, and so, you know, obviously it's like it's a tough thing working in the education system, and you want them to be at their best, and you know, we are trying our best, but it definitely feels like sometimes maybe we're trying too hard, or there's other solutions we're just not seeing. But also, you know, a lot of this is tied up in like money and stuff like that, and people don't, you know, people can't, you know, a lot of things are decided you know, through these like systems that we don't really understand either. But yeah, it's important, and I worry for a lot of kids once they get to like middle school. I've never wanted to teach middle school ever. I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, middle school was probably like the worst time in the world. Which also, another thing that's weird is that, and I'm gonna talk about this, and I've talked about it before, I'm sure, is that, you know, anti-bullying stuff just isn't a thing anymore. Like, you know, for a while it was like, you know, like, don't bully, you know, yada yada, and you had all those posters everywhere, and then you started getting like, you know, the cyberbullying thing, and that just isn't being a thing anymore. And I don't know if it's just because it's not in elementary school, but like there's bullying in elementary school, of course there is, but like I don't know if that's like a focus more so in like high school or middle school or like whatever, but that's not like a prominent thing anymore. Like, is that not strange? But yeah, in like middle school I was like bullied quite a bit, and so it was like one of the worst times of my life. And you know, this is also where content starts to get harder, and you're getting like a lot more like classes, you know, and stuff like that, and you're starting to like, you know, get specialized, right? Because in the 5th grade is when you actually like really specialize. Like obviously you'll do like social studies and science, but it's a very short period of time. And then in high school you'll get like 45 minutes like every day, or like, you know, an hour, and how it depends on how your blocks are kind of spread out, question. And so it's like middle school, I worry for these kids once they get to middle school, because I don't know, like, you know, what supports they're gonna be getting anymore, and I like worry for them, like yeah. So okay, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I'm excited for Overwatch. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully, you know, it will be. I hope you guys had fun that last time you guys played on the server. That was so cute, by the way. I love it when like people are like just doing their own thing on the server. In secondary school, I'd always feel bad for teachers who constantly get picked on by kids in the class. Them just being mean to the teacher for no reason is unnecessary and horrible. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like I understand you don't want to be here, and that like, you know, learning is a bore and you could be doing other things, right? But it's, you know, it's important, and I wish, you know, kids would appreciate that more, but obviously they don't. That's just how it is. You know, kids don't really understand what you do for them. Like for me, right? Like I like run what's it to kids basically, all the grades basically get like a behavior chart for the lunch. And so like, you know, I created that system, and you know, if they get a certain amount of stickers in a week, they get a movie day. And you know, like I'm the one who's doing that for them. Like I'm the one who's buying the movie for them and playing it for them, and you're just gonna constantly get like complaints and whatever. And it's like really disheartening, because it's like obviously like I'm doing all this like work, and you know, I'm putting in this like money for you or whatever, and you're not like appreciating it. And it's like, okay, that's how kids are gonna be. They feel like entitled to stuff, right? Like they're always like, oh, I don't want to watch this or whatever. It's like, what have I played for them? I played Toy Story, Wall-E, The Emperor's New Groove, Cars 1 through 3, Encanto was a recent one. What else have I played? I don't know, a couple of them. And so it's definitely just like, and but also all this planning that goes into the work, and you know, doing all this you know, like studying essentially. Like, you know, I'll be like looking up new things and different strategies and stuff like that, so I can work with them better. And there's so much effort and time you put into doing this, you know. Let's see. Well, for what it is worth, thank you for being an educator. Thank you. Yeah. It's just I love it, so can't really help it. Oops, I hit the mic. Can't really help it. It's just it was bound to happen, I think, once the chemistry thing fell through. Agreed. I remember when there were mini films and skits to point out how cyberbullying is messed up and even illegal depending on how it's done. Also, hey, lurking, cooking. Oh, hello, corn. What are you cooking? Let's see, we did great. I was very focused on, so I didn't talk much when you popped in. Yeah, I surprised you guys when I popped in. I completely forgot I was in the server because I looked at the description to join and it was just automatically scroll down to my own Discord. Oh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're in there. I feel like they'd be put in their place if they tried that somewhere IRL, like a dangerous neighborhood or a Waffle House. A Waffle House. I've never been to a Waffle House. Is it good? Have you seen that, like, not an infomercial, it's like a training ad, like not a training ad, a training video for the Waffle House, and how like you had to place like the mustard packet in a certain orientation next to a jelly packet, and then you know like how many eggs you're getting and like what kind of waffle it is. That's insane. You know, I think a lot of like is that a retail job? I mean, you're selling something, but not necessarily. What would you call that exactly? Question mark. Anyway, like if you're working at like a fast food restaurant or something, I feel like it's like wholly underestimated how much work is, you know, put into like making sure, you know, the systems go well. So yeah, I think you know, every job is important, needs to be appreciated because I think we all work hard. Let's see. I think teachers aren't paid enough to handle so many children. Oh, definitely. It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of kids. Yeah, especially like in my position, because I'm having to deal with like 50 of them basically. I think it's actually 45 to deal with like 45 of them, right? It's like, it's a lot. But then lunch duty's insane because it's like, I don't know, maybe like 100 kids that you have to deal with. That's rough because again, it's unstructured, so they have a really hard time. But like on the daily, and when it comes to educating, it's like 45 kids, because they're doing like math enrichment, novel studies, what else are they doing, general like support for things, more support. It's a lot. Cook some brothy noodle soup, improvise, but done enough times to know I'll enjoy it, and right now I'm just waiting for it to cool down. Okay, very nice. I actually had some pho right before this. It was very nice, very yummy in my tummy. Yeah, so I've yeah, pho is good. Okay, but it is 1:30, so it is about time for stream to end. Thank you for everyone that joined in again for the second time, and thank you for any new viewers that are here, and you know, people that are coming back. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. And I think, was it they went to work, Seven Tail Studio, for becoming a member, and thank you Oasis Media, if that's someone else, or I don't know who you are, for gifting the 5 memberships. I really appreciated that. Thank you to everyone for listening to me ramble on about the state of education, which I'll have to change the thumbnail and the title and stuff, but I hope this was interesting, and you know, you guys learned a lot, I suppose. But yeah, thank you so much, and I will be back next week, maybe to talk about advice. Hopefully. We never know, because I always end up yapping about something. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and I can't wait to see you next week. Make sure that you are staying cozy. Yeah, so signing off. Shiaides!